Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Zeta here, and I am back at it again to deliver part 2 for What If Deku was Luffy's reincarnation. Now, boys, part 1 ended up getting so much support from you guys. A lot of you guys loved the idea. A lot of you guys kept requesting Haki to be added to the story. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The reason that I'm overthinking and just like, will I give him Haki? Will I not? Isn't really because I don't want to give it to him, because you boys know I love me an overpowered character. But the thing is, guys, that low-key, I really don't understand Haki like that. I really don't understand Luffy's powers. I just think that being able to stretch is pretty cool. And so, Luffy, Reincarnation, Deku, it just kind of clicked together. I saw the image and I was like, you know what, let's do it. However, boys, I will try to implement Haki into the story as much as I can on the third part. I am going to be doing a little bit of research into that. And basically, that's all I got for today's intro. That being said, make sure you guys go check out the links in my description for my Discord server, as well as my thumbnail maker and my sponsor, but there will be more on that later on in the video. And with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so as you guys remember, Uraraka looked at Deku and she was like, yo, dude, how did you do this? Deku pretty much proceeded to be like, well, if you want to find out, then make sure you go to part 2. And this is where we're going to be picking off the story. So Deku would basically look at Uraraka as he's smiling, and Uraraka would be like, what? Deku would then be like, huh? What happened? And this is when Uraraka would say, you told me something about a part 2? Deku would think inside of his head, did I just break the fourth wall? And this is when Zeta would pop up in his mind, as he'd be like, you sure did, buddy. As he would say, come on now forget all about this. As Deku would forget all about that Uraraka, all about that interaction, so would Uraraka, and the story would continue. Deku would look at her as he would smile and say, oh, you want to find out what my quirk is? As Uraraka would be like, I guess? As it's at this point that Deku would be like, oh, well, don't worry about it. It's really not that complicated. And my quirk is called elasticity. It basically gives me the abilities of rubber, and I can pretty much do whatever I want. It gives me the abilities of, you know, being really stretchy and all that stuff. And Uraraka's like, oh, so you're like that guy from Mr. Fantastic or Luffy. As Deku would say, Gomu Gomu no Mi. As it's at this point that Uraraka would be like, oh my god, you sound just like him. As she would look at Deku, she would then be like, well, that's awesome, as in this version, Luffy doesn't wear the straw hat, and Luffy isn't quite the same character that he is in the actual story, because, you know, anime exists, but it's not the exact same anime world that we all know and love. That being said, this is when Deku would basically, after explaining everything, he would smile towards Uraraka as he would say, oh, sorry, lost track of time, I gotta go. This is when he would say, I gotta make sure that I'm ready for the next day at the Heroes vs. Villains event. As Uraraka would be like, huh? Deku would say, what? As he would just be like, alright, I gotta go. As he would leave, and immediately he would get home, and his mother would have a full 4-course meal set up for him. As Deku would be like, Mom, I love you. This is when Inka would look at him and she would say, I know. As she would proceed to basically, you know, she'd hook the boy up, you know, she'd bless his life. Immediately, Deku would look at her as he would say, Mom, I'm so thankful you're my mom. As Inka would be like, come on now, just eat your food. As he would, and afterwards, Deku would quite literally pass out on the ground. As Inka would pick that boy up, and she would drag Deku over to the bed. As it's at this point that Deku would wake up the very next day, actually pretty late, it'd be about 12 in the day. As Deku would then get dropped off at school by Inko. They both passed out pretty late because, you know, they woke up in the middle of the night and they kind of just talked about things, right? So Deku and Inko both pretty much ended up staying up until 12, and so Deku got to school late. So when he walked in the classroom, Aizawa was just like, you're late. As he would say, why would you even bother showing up if you're going to be this late? Deku would hold the back of his head and she's like, yeah, as it's at this point that Aizawa would say, well, sit down, we're almost to the end of the day. 3 hours would go by, and this is when finally they would have their heroes versus villains stuff. All Might would walk inside the classroom as he would say, I am here to tell you guys about the sponsor. Now, this is when I will now be telling you guys about my beautiful sponsor, okay? And other me's basically going to be taking it away. Alright, so I guess now I'm gonna finally get the chance to tell you guys about the crispy sponsor of today's video. And yes, boys, they sell My Hero Academia merch. Have you guys ever been wanting to buy yourself some My Hero merch, whether it be the Deku jacket, whether it just be your favorite characters on a hoodie, maybe a jean jacket, or, you know, some cool designs? If you're female, they have stuff for you. They have, you know, the perfect presents and gifts for your loved ones in case their birthday's coming up, or, you know, any anime lovers. Everything here is at a reasonable price, and from what I've seen at real stores, like brick and mortar stores, they be overcharging, bro. But this website, like, bro, you're not about to get a better deal than this. Half of their stuff is most of the time a big percentage off. You know, they have really cool jackets, they have Hawks, Bakugo shirts, they have little, you know, the school outfits and females, they have cool My Hero Academia shirts, and in case you don't like the color that these things come in, you can basically change the color and adjust it to your own preferences. In terms of what I think is pretty drippy, I would definitely have to go with a jean jacket. I mean, boys, just look at this thing. It is so incredibly fire. Like, look at all of these options. Look, oh my god, I can't believe it. They made the cami jacket. That's heat. That's heat right there. If I was to cop one of the hoodies, I'd probably get this one. It's pretty fire. And yeah, boys, if you guys have ever wanted to get your favorite characters on a hoodie or anything like that in general, I would definitely recommend these guys. They're very safe. They're trusted. I promise you guys will get your items shipped to you in less than a week. And yeah, that's basically been it for today's sponsor. I hope you guys go on to click the link and at least check out, you know, the store. Maybe you see something, maybe you won't. But, you know, if you check it out, it'll definitely help out the channel. With that being said, though, guys, I love you guys. Thank you for hearing me out, and back to the video. Okay, now after you guys are done hearing about the sponsor, I will now be getting back into the story. So, as I was saying, Deku would pretty much go through class, All Might would bust in, and after telling you guys about my beautiful sponsor, he would basically proceed to, well, essentially just go through and tell the rest of the class what they are going to be doing today. This one, All Might would begin to explain the usual casual stuff that he always does, talking about some yada yada yada. You guys know what he's about to say, right? He's like, oh yeah, you know, to be a hero, you gotta have good outfit, and they would all get suited up, and the little My Hero song would pop up in the background. As you know, this is when everybody would come out looking very saucy, and Deku would be wearing literally the same outfit that he's wearing in the thumbnail. It'd be green, he'd be wearing a little green shirt, and this is when Bakugo would immediately see Deku, as he would start laughing and start making fun of Deku. Immediately Deku would see this and just start laughing himself, as he would then stretch his hand over to Bakugo, punching him right in the face, as Bakugo's like, hey, what was that for? You do that again and I'll kill you. As Deku would start chuckling himself. And this is when Deku would say, you'd have to catch me first, as he'd pretty much run away, and All Might would say, now, settle down, as he would say, I'm about to start drawing the lots. This is when he would draw out all the people. And, you know, it would basically be the same teams that we all know and, of course, love. Every, you know, same team that we usually get, such as, you know, little Uraraka and Deku action. We would even get the Bakugo and Ida action, right? They would both look at each other. Deku would then begin to explain to Uraraka his little relationship that he has with Bakugo. And Uraraka would be like, this is a little weird. As Deku would say, yeah, a little some, but you know, that's just how he is. As Uraraka would say, well, I guess it's a battle between fated rivals. As this is when Deku would start chuckling, and they would both just kind of look at each other as they're smiling a little bit. They would both pretty much proceed to just start chilling, as Deku would say, alright, look, so here's the plan. We're just going to run in there, and we're just going to take them out. As Uraraka's like, what kind of plan is that? Deku would say, it's the only plan we need, as he starts rushing in there, as he can already hear Bakugo on his Deku running right through the hallway with his explosions. Deku would turn the corner as Bakugo would throw a full power explosion. Deku would get big to the size of Fat Gum and tank the explosion, as Bakugo's like, you think you're gonna make a fool out of me, Deku? As he would basically rush at Deku's direction, he would then throw a big giant explosion. Deku would get flung backwards, but this is when Deku would use his rubbery nature to ricochet off the wall, as he would hit Bakugo square in the jaw, and then he would land, as Deku would look down at the ground as he just finished watching As let's see, he just finished watching one of Luffy's moves, the little gum Gatling that he used against that tiger guy. It's like a little leopard. It's like a yellow animal. I never honestly have seen One Piece after like chapter 50. I mean, not chapter 50, but episode like 60 or 70. So I'm really not that far into it, but you know, I'm around the time where they get swallowed up by a whale, and it's pretty lame. So I kind of stopped watching One Piece, but I know it gets lit. So I'm probably gonna read the manga and catch up, and maybe do a couple more One Piece what ifs, such as what if Deku was Zoro's reincarnation, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would like to see that. Maybe I would even do a Sanji reincarnation, or maybe I might even do Usopp, because I'm pretty sure that Usopp's a little weird right now, but you know, there's some hope for Usopp to become a badass later on. With that being said, basically Deku would get into a fight with Bakugo, as Bakugo would pretty much have to fight an entirely uphill battle. He would try his best to defeat Deku, but just like it always goes, Deku would end up getting the upper hand and defeating Bakugo. This is when Deku would turn the corner, as Uraraka would have barely been arriving, and Deku would give her a big, giant, cheesy smile. He would tell her if she's ready, as Uraraka would say, "Did you already beat him?" As Deku would say, "Sure did." This one he would crack a little smile, and Uraraka would be like, "Whoa, that's impressive." Deku would then say a little bit, as Deku would then pretty much proceed to look at Uraraka and say, "Well, shall we?" As Uraraka would say, "Yeah, of course." They would go inside, and Deku would grab Uraraka by the legs, as he would pretty much throw her at Ida, and she would get there so fast that she would be able to touch Ida, and Ida would start floating on the ground, leading to Uraraka going to the bomb and touching it, meaning that they secured the bag, or in this case, the bomb. As it's at this point that afterwards they would pretty much just start, they'd start vibing. The class would tell them that Deku was so impressive. Bakugo would be pretty much unconscious in Recovery Girl's office, and this version of Bakugo is a lot more humble than the one that we have in the original, because the man's been getting folded like an omelet for years. So it's like, once you get beat up that many times, you kind of gotta humble yourself. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna get folded like that, you better stop it with that big chihuahua attitude, if you know what I mean. Afterwards, this is when the rest of the people would go, and after class, Deku and Uraraka would pretty much walk home. Deku would walk Uraraka home, and Uraraka would be so unsure of how she feels towards Deku. She likes him, but as a friend, but at the same time, she has some sort of attraction to him that's a little different than if it was just a friend. She still doesn't know how she feels about him, but Deku just goes home, eats some food, and this is when we will now have about 1 week of normal schooling. As Deku and Uraraka, they'd be in school, nothing really insane would happen, just the usual, same old classes, heroes versus heroes, training, and like fighting and combat and all that stuff. But this one, Aizawa, during the third day, would explain to them all that they're going to be going to the USJ, and he would pretty much have their families sign petitions. Deku's mom would of course do this, as they would all get on the bus, and this is when they would arrive to the USJ. As wow, I'm already I'm like 10 minutes into the video, and I'm pretty far into the story already. It's been like a total of, let's say, 35 minutes that I've done the story of What If Deku Was Luffy's Reincarnation, and I'm already this far into it. I actually really like the pacing to this What If. There's no extra steps. I'm not skipping through things. I'm not adding too many words. It feels fluent. It feels good, honestly. I'm having a pretty good time doing this What If. This is when I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. The next What If that I'm going to be dropping after this is going to be What If Deku Was Frieza's Reincarnation. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but trust me, boys, Deku is going to be so overpowered straight from birth, because we all know that Frieza, he wasn't trained to have the power that he has in the Namek saga. He was quite literally born with it. Lucky bastard. But yeah. That being said, let's go back into the story. Deku and everybody else would arrive, as 13 would pretty much tell them that, their powers can be dangerous, but to make sure that they use them for good. As everybody's just nodding, they're like, yeah, bro, like, we've been through this before, this isn't our first time. And 13 would just be like, yeah, alright guys, as, they're all vibing, they're chilling, they're having a pretty good time, nothing's really going on, until they finally go inside, and Kurogiri would teleport before them. This is when Deku would say, woo! as he would jump at Kurogiri and say, let's start. He would immediately punch Kurogiri's metal part, as that was from pure luck. He made his fist bigger and he was like, whoa, these villains feel real, as he would have Kurogiri on the ground. Shigaraki and the rest of the squad wouldn't have even gotten teleported in yet, because in this version I'm going to be going with the notion that the heroes versus villains stuff, actually nah, Shigaraki and all of them were already there, and Kurogiri was about to teleport them all to their different locations, right? This is when Deku would be like, whoa, this is awesome, as immediately Aizawa would rush at the gate, and he would pretty much tell Sato to bust it down along with Kirishima. As the both of them would, this is when immediately Deku would pretty much be like, what's going on? As everybody in Class 1A would run out of there, Deku would be like, alright, as he would pretty much step outside of the USJ, and he would still be holding Kurogiri, because he's like, alright, where do I put him in jail? Kurogiri would be getting gripped pretty hard by Deku, because Deku is on some strong stuff, you know, he's not on that weak sauce, right? So Deku is holding Kurogiri, and Kurogiri is like, let me go, you hero, as Deku would say, what, bro, you're taking the acting too far, like, I get it, you know, you're going into your role, you know, you're pretty professional with it, bro, but I'm gonna need you to chill out. As Kurogiri is like, damn you, you brat. Immediately Deku would say, whoa, don't talk to me like that, as, you know, Kurogiri would be like, alright, and this is when, you know, Aizawa would pretty much disable Kurogiri's teleportation quirk, as a bunch of heroes would arrive, and this is when they would pretty much take out everyone in the USJ, including Shigaraki. Yeah, I'm not like the other What If YouTubers that like to have Shigaraki get past this. No, yeah, Shigaraki's getting captured. Like, from the way that I made everything go, Shigaraki is not going to get away whatsoever. There is zero hope and chance for Shigaraki to get away. So with that being said, he would pretty much end up getting captured. And well, now, after this, they would all pretty much just be on some vibe and stuff. They would have one more week of normal school, seeing as the USJ didn't go viral, nobody got hurt, no teachers got hurt. They ended up folding the villains, and Shigaraki, seeing as he didn't even have Kurogiri with him, he did pretty well. All Might had to fight the Nomu, of course. That took a lot of stamina out of him, but nevertheless, it was way better than it was in canon. And with that being said, this is when I will now be jumping into when Aizawa would tell them about the UA Sports Festival. Aizawa would look at his classes. He would say, all right, class, as you guys know, every year we have the UA Sports Festival, and this year it just so happens that we're going to be having it next week. Everybody would get pumped. Uraraka would be like, I'm excited. Are you excited? And, you know, of course, they would have that little interaction. In terms of the people who came out to stalk them and be like, all right, let's scout the competition, that wouldn't happen because the USJ never went public. None of that ever got out to the media. So it was all normal. And seeing as it never got out to the media, there was no press, none of that stuff, and so the UA Sports Festival is pretty much all we have to look forward to. So this is when we will now be getting into the UA Sports Festival. This is when Deku, seeing as he ended up winning in terms of the entrance exam, he got the most points, would be told to go up and give the speech. Deku would look at Midnight as he would crack a cheesy smile. Midnight would have a little bit of a smile as well, and she would say he reeks of positive energy. Deku would look at the crowd as he would say, all right people, are you guys excited? As the people would say, yeah, we are. Immediately, Deku would be like, all right, then hit that like button because I'm going to be needing a lot of likes if you guys want part 3. And the finale to What If Deku Was Luffy's Reincarnation. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and part, seeing as it was pretty dope. You know, I got along with a lot of the story. I'm saying this video is probably going to be 19 or 20 minutes. I'm really not sure up to this point, but I do hope you guys end up enjoying the video nonetheless. I'm hoping that you guys ended up, you know, you guys like the story progression. Hoping you guys are vibing with this thing, as it's a little bit on the faster side, but I feel like it kind of works for Luffy Reincarnation, except not really, because One Piece is like the most slowest paced anime I've ever seen in my life. But you know, enough of that. That being said though, guys, you know, as always, I love each and every single one of you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like and check out the sponsor link down in the description. If you cop anything, definitely let me know, and I will of course shout you out on my community tab. With that being said, it has been your boy Zether. I love each and every single one of you guys, and I am out.